Have you ever found love where you least expected it? Maybe not just in an unexpected place, but with an unexpected person? In a world full of unwritten rules and expectations, our hearts decided to break every single one. Everyone said our love was impossible, a silly fantasy between two people living under the same roof but in completely different worlds. Turns out they were wrong. Priya lived a life that looked perfect from the outside. From her huge bedroom window, the world was like a perfect garden, beautiful, but distant and untouchable. At 19, she was the only heir to a fortune built on tradition. Her entire life felt like a performance. It was all polite smiles, fancy lessons, and conversations about a future she didn't even feel was hers. She was smart and curious, but she felt like she was suffocating. Her world was quiet, orderly, and deeply lonely. And into that silence walked Rahul. At 21, he was already carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He had a family to support, a sister to put through school, and a dream he was determined to build with his own two hands. He was a hard worker, and he had this quiet dignity that was so different from the arrogant guys in Priya's social circle. He moved through the grand house so quietly, just a steady rhythm in the background of Priya's life. He was the servant boy, part of the scenery, until one day he became the only thing she could see. It didn't start with a lightning bolt. It was more like a whisper. Priya was in the library, which felt more like a museum for unread books than a real library. She reached for a book on a high shelf, but her fingers just barely grazed the spine, and it started to fall before it could smack against the marble floor. Rahul was there. He caught it with this surprising speed, but he didn't just hand it back. He held it for a second, his eyes on the cover. "You like poetry?" he asked. His voice was softer than she expected. Priya was so surprised he spoke to her so directly. She just nodded. "I do," she finally said. "Do you?" A small, genuine smile appeared on his face. "When I have the time. My sister loves it." And that was it. But that one tiny moment lit a spark between them. It was a connection that started growing. With every stolen glance across the dinner table and every quick smile in the hallway, Priya started making up excuses to be wherever he was working. She'd ask for a glass of water just to hear his voice again, or wander into the gardens when she knew he was there with the roses. You could feel the tension between them, this invisible thread humming with want, and the absolute terror of being caught. As the days turned into weeks, their secret world got bigger. That huge, lonely house was now their sanctuary. They made a ritual of whispering to each other under the shade of the garden's old banyan tree. Rahul would tell her stories about his village, about the colorful festivals and simple joys that felt like a fairy tale compared to Priya's structured life. And Priya, in return, told him her biggest fears, how she felt like a bird in a cage and how badly she wanted a life that she could actually choose. He didn't just listen, he got it. For the first time ever, Priya felt like someone saw her, not just the heiress. Their bond grew in these stolen moments. A shared laugh in the huge, empty kitchen while he made her tea. His hand brushing against hers as he passed her the cup, sending a jolt right through her. One time, he left a single, perfect gardenia on her windowsill, a silent, beautiful symbol of what they both were feeling. Every little interaction was precious, a memory she would replay over and over in her lonely room. They weren't living separate lives anymore. They were living for these moments, nurturing this love that was growing against all odds. But love can't hide in the shadows forever. Priya's mother, a woman who missed nothing, started to notice a change in her daughter. The new light in Priya's eyes, the subtle way she held herself with more confidence. And she definitely noticed the way Priya's eyes would follow Rahul. When the confrontation finally happened, it wasn't quiet. It was a storm. One evening, her mother followed her out to the garden and found them. Priya and Rahul were sitting close together on a stone bench, sharing a quiet laugh. Just like that, their secret world was shattered. "Priya, what is the meaning of this? Her mother's voice was ice-cold and sharp with fury. Rahul stood up instantly, his face pale but still respectful. Priya's heart was pounding, but when she looked at Rahul, she felt a surge of courage she never knew she had. She stood up to face her mother, her hand finding Rahul's without even thinking. "We were just talking, mother, talking. Don't be a fool, Priya. I see what's happening. You are embarrassing this family, fraternizing with the help." Every word was designed to hurt. She turned her glare on Rahul. "And you'll be gone by morning. You're dismissed." Tears stung Priya's eyes, but she didn't back down. "No," she said, her voice shaking but clear. "He is not the help. His name is Rahul, and he is the only person who sees me for who I really am. If he goes, I go." The words just hung there in the air, a challenge. The secret was out, and the fight for their love was just getting started. The days that followed were brutal. Rahul wasn't fired. Priya's threat worked, but he was given jobs that kept him as far away from her as possible. Her parents moved fast, basically grounding her and lining up a parade of suitable bachelors from rich families. Her father, who was usually wrapped up in his business, sat her down for a long talk about duty, legacy, and how impossible her choice was. In their world, social class was everything, and love just wasn't enough to bridge a gap that wide. It felt like they were trying to break them. Priya was completely isolated, crushed by her family's disappointment. Rahul had to face little humiliations every single day, constant reminders of his place. But being kept apart and facing all this hardship didn't break their bond. It actually made it stronger. Inspired by Priya's bravery, Rahul started working even harder, saving every penny he could and studying late into the night for college entrance exams. He was determined to become a man they couldn't look down on, and Priya drew strength from him. She started rejecting every single suitor her parents brought to the house, her quiet defiance speaking volumes. They sent messages to each other through Rahul's sister, who also worked in the city. Each note was a lifeline, a promise. "We're not giving up." They were up against everything: family, society, tradition. Do you think a love like theirs can actually survive something like this? If you're rooting for Priya and Rahul, hit that like button to show your support. And tell us in the comments what you think they should do next. The breakthrough didn't come from some big, dramatic moment. It came from a quiet act of character. A sudden financial crisis hit Priya's family, and her father's business was about to collapse. It was Rahul, using everything he'd learned during those late-night study sessions, who found a mistake in the company's local account books. It was an error that, once it was fixed, would save a huge part of the business. He went to Priya's father, not with an "I told you so" attitude, but with real humility, genuinely wanting to help the family. Priya's father was stunned. He didn't see a servant anymore. He saw a sharp, honorable, and capable young man. He saw the man his daughter had seen all along. It was that act, plus Priya's absolute refusal to back down, that finally started to soften her parents' hearts. They saw how real their love was, and they saw the strength in Rahul's character. Their approval was slow and reluctant at first, but it was a start. With their hesitant blessing, a now humbled and grateful father helped Rahul enroll in university. Their journey was far from over, but the biggest wall had just come crumbling down. And that's the story of Priya and Rahul. It just goes to show you that love can refuse to be defined by money or status. Their story proves that the deepest connections aren't about what you have, but are built on understanding, courage, and a love that's brave enough to write its own rules. If you enjoyed their story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.